So I just wanted to re-explain and kind of tweak a little bit what we did today, specifically with the phase shift and what you're going to do for your increment, so that way you make sure everything's even. So looking at number 2 here, this is the one we did in class together. I just wanted to re-look at it. The amplitude is A, which right now, right here, we don't have a number, so it's 1. So we can go ahead and mark in that we're going from 1 to -1 for our y's. The period, remember the formula for period is 2 pi over b, and b right now is 1, so it's 2 pi over 1, which is just 2 pi. And then the new part for today, the phase shift, is going to be negative c over b. You have to do the opposite of c, so c is this one. So you're going to do negative pi over 4 divided by b is 1. So we get negative pi over 4. So then the next thing we want to do is that phase. So what we want to do first is that phase shift ends up being the first x. So I'm going to mark that in as negative pi over 4. Then we can find how much we're increasing our interval by. To do that, we take the period and divide it by 4 just like we did yesterday. And actually, I would just leave that because these now are a common denominator, so we want to leave it the common denominator. So we're going to get, if we add 2 pi over 4 onto negative pi over 4, you get pi over 4. And then we're going to do that answer plus 2 pi over 4. We get 3 pi over 4. We're going to take 3 pi over 4 and add 2 pi over 4 to it. You get 5 pi over 4, and then take 5 pi over 4 and add 2 pi over 4 to it, and you get 7 pi over 4. So what I wanted to interject today from what we talked about today is how to graph this a little bit less confusing than what I talked about in class today. So the first thing, I'm going to make my own graph down here. I know I had already marked there that it's going to go from 1 to -1. For the rest of these, I know it's going to start at negative pi over 4. That automatically becomes what we're going to increase by for each of these. So I'm going to make all of these out of pi over 4. That's going to be 1 pi over 4. I'm going to write in 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, and I know it's going to end at 7 pi over 4, so I can end there. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my key points, and I know looking back at my starting point, I have to start at negative pi over 4 today, so it actually moved to the right. Pi over 4, that's my intercept. Then I have to put the next point. The next point has to be at where it says x2 is, up here at the top, which is now at pi over 4. So that's my max. The intercept is at the next value, which is 3 pi over 4. So notice we're skipping some of these, but it's helping us to scale the graph. The next one is at 5 pi over 4. That's going to be my min. And my last one, where it starts to repeat, is at 7 pi over 4. And then you can draw in your curve there. So it's just giving you more accurate scaling through here by keeping it as the common denominator. So my suggestion now is to leave, when you graph it, actually leave them unsimplified. Leave the intervals unsimplified. It'll make it easier to graph it accurately. I'm going to do one more on the next page. Alright, so here's how to do problem number 4 from the notes today. First thing we're going to again find is the amplitude, which is at first number 3. Then we're going to find the period. Period is 2 pi divided by b, so 2 pi divided by 2, which is pi. And the last thing we have to find is the phase shift, which we do the opposite of c, so it's going to be positive pi over 3 divided by 2, which is really pi over 3 times 1/2, which is pi over 6. So that's where we're going to start with our x value. Our first x value is going to be pi over 6. And then we need to figure out what our increment's going to be. The increment, you have to take the period and divide it by 4. So here's the issue. The issue happens between the denominators of the interval and our starting point. Those need to be the same. So to make those the same, we need a common denominator between these, which is going to be 12. So I got to multiply this one by 3. I get 3 pi over 12. And then I'm going to change this one into multiply by 2 pi over 12. Because then it's going to be much easier to find our increments here. So for the next one, I have to do 2 pi over 12, my starting point, plus the increment 3 pi over 12, which is 5 pi over 12. And then I'm going to do 5 pi over 12 plus 3 pi over 12. I get 8 pi over 12. The next one I'm going to do the 8 pi over 12 plus the 3 pi over 12. I get 11 pi over 12. And then for the last value here, 11 pi over 12 plus 3 pi over 12 is 14 pi over 12. Now the thing I'm correcting here is looking at how to graph that so that we get an accurate graph. We're going to go based on that common denominator of 12, and we're going to take our x-axis and just go up by pi over 12 each time. So the first slash is going to be pi over 12. And then we're going to do these all the way up to where we need to end, which is 14 pi over 12. Now part of what you can start to do is you don't have to label every single one. You only need to label really the ones that are important to us. So 5 pi over 12 is going to go here, but I have all the appropriate slash marks in between. So then 6 pi over 12, 7 pi over 12, 8 pi over 12 would be here. 9 pi over 12, 10 pi over 12, 11 pi over 12 would be here. 12, 13, 14 pi over 12 is going to be here. So you don't necessarily need to label each one, but you need to leave enough space for them. And then to graph it, let's see, forgot what our amplitude was. The amplitude was 3. I just peeked back at it. So this is 3. This is negative 3. And then the graph is going to start at our starting value, and it's going to be an intercept. And the intercept's going to be at that 2 pi over 12. And then we're going to max at the next point, 5 pi over 12. Min at the next point, 8 pi over 12, or sorry, intercept at the next point. Min at 11 pi over 12, and we're going to have the ending max at 14 pi, or ending intercept at 14 pi over 12. So this is going to be your curve. So that's kind of what I was trying to explain at the end of class. But if you have all of the increments there and just mark the ones that are important so we know that your graph is even all the way through. Hope that helps.